ocean around us defines who we are. So many of us, we all grew up poking around on the shoreline, turning rocks over and discovering and living with the ocean.
The more that I've learned about the exclusive economic zone here in Bermuda, the more that I've realized that this is a tremendous opportunity, it presents a tremendous opportunity to create a protected area that would send a message to the world, would be a beacon for the world.
I mean, this is a unique opportunity that Bermudians have the chance to speak their voice and have a say in what goes on with our environment. Very rarely do countries or islands have that chance, and Bermuda's in a unique opportunity. I think Bermudians should speak and tell the organizers of this EEZ how they feel.
The Bermuda government is considering protecting a portion of the sea around Bermuda as a marine reserve. The concept is to protect the more distant waters of our exclusive economic zone while allowing for some measure of current and potential marine activities. The purpose of this consultation is to get your feedback on whether a marine reserve is the right option for the future protection of Bermuda's waters. The government wants input from all residents on the issue. The decision on whether to restrict activity in a large portion of our offshore waters is an important one.
Each country has exclusive rights over its water that surrounds its coastline, and for Bermuda, we have 200 nautical miles around its coastline that is, by all intents and purposes, our land, our ocean, in order to monitor and protect and utilize for what we see as the benefit of our country.
The designation of the EEZ allows Bermuda to actually control any economic activity that is conducted within that zone. And subsequent to it being declared, the UK has actually delegated all authority to Bermuda for the EEZ. And actually, Bermuda is the only one of the overseas territories that has full control over our EEZ.
It's an attempt to help preserve the great qualities that our island has. I think it's a great idea that we're doing something proactively and we have the opportunity to do that.
I think it's incumbent upon us to be able to claim and manage what is, by all intents and purposes, Bermuda's kind of heritage and birthright.
I definitely believe that we should protect our marine resources and marine environment of our EEZ. And by protect, I mean really safeguarding the resources from depletion and the environment from degradation.
We already protect a significant amount of our EEZ, but we protect it for specific species. For example, large marine mammals, it's already protected. Whales and turtles are already protected. But we don't protect everything in our waters, and we don't protect the whole EEZ. It's very patchworked.
Should we protect that? Should we preserve it? Should we pass laws on it for the protection of fishes and other creatures there? The answer's got to be yes, not only morally, but from a social point of view and also from a common sense zoological point of view. We should not let anyone come within our EEZ and operate without our permission. The answer is yes.
But I think protecting beyond the 85-mile zone would be a great way to protect the biodiversity in the ocean out there, which in turn affects the fish stocks inshore. So by protecting offshore, it should help protect or help enhance the inshore fishing.
We protect it by taking charge of it. We take charge of it by using it responsibly and developing its potential slowly and methodically.
We should protect because it has sociological implications, but more important to us, it has financial obligations. You want to protect the ocean You want to protect under the ocean? Do you want to protect all the way to the bottom of 12,000 feet? Don't forget, 12,000 feet is a long way to swim down. Once you get down 400 feet, not 4,000, 400 feet, it's pitch black.
Protecting the EEZ to me means licensing industrial and scientific activities that can happen in the EEZ. And the government needs to do that primarily so that the government can have access to all the data that that activity provides.
Who is it being protected from? The stewardship-driven fisherman who wants to impart stewardship to everyone? Or are you protecting it? Are you protecting it from our children? Yeah, because if we raise our children in the ways of stewardship, then I don't think any environmentalist or any naturalist or any nature lover anywhere can point an accusing finger at our country or this and saying that, hey, these guys are bad stewards.
Bermuda has rights and responsibilities for the area of ocean within 200 nautical miles of our island, known as the Exclusive Economic Zone. The sea around Bermuda, the Sargasso Sea, is vital to our island, and we have a strong tradition of caring for it. It supports our tourism, our valuable commercial, sport, and recreational fisheries, and our way of life.
Well, we already have protective measures in place. We have commercial fishing, for recreational fishing, for mining, for dredging works, for aquaculture. All of these things require a license or a special permit, and conditions that are attached to these permits or licenses are designed to protect the environment. So we have a lot of measures in place already. However, we could go a step further and design a really well thought out network of marine protected areas, which takes into account different habitats. We have seagrass habitats, we have coral habitats, we have ocean open habitats, and a network of marine protected areas should take in all of these.
I would recommend a marine reserve, as it were, to where it's like almost a no-take zone. Allow our local fishermen to fish, even allow like the sport fishing, because it's still the quantities and the quantity of fish that is taken during the tournaments is very low. But I would recommend straight up a ban from all tankers or any other foreign bodies coming in and taking our fish.
One of the wonderful things about our EEZ is it is so big. It's enormous. So we can actually derive tremendous value, both environmental and economic, from protecting a lot of it without having any impact on our lifestyle at all.
Quite honestly, it's a difficult one to answer without some metrics, some baseline information that would help us to monitor any form of change. For instance, to create a reserve to say, okay, no fishing will occur in this area. In order to know what the impact of that would be, we need to know what is the level of fishing pressure today.
If we establish a marine protected area that's 80% of our EEZ, then what that's going to do is stifle commercial, it's going to stifle investment in commercial exploration.
I think the impacts will depend on the size of the protected area and the protection measures that are put in place. If you have a totally no-take area, it could impact on economic activities such as the commercial fishing, offshore commercial fishing, and mining operations. However, there could be other economical benefits from tourism. Tourists may see Bermuda as an environmentally conscious place and be more likely to come.
How far do you want to take your protection? You want to take your protection as far as is sensible and reasonable. So Again, to answer the question specifically, you need to take the protection and the laws governing the EEZ to an extreme that the ordinary man in the street is going to say, that makes sense.
Our economic success is really linked to the ocean and the health of our ocean. And so maintaining the health of our ocean is important to maintaining our economic success as an island.
If we don't know what's out there, how are we going to benefit from it? It's, it's just going to stay out there, a great mystery. And you will still be competing for very limited resources within 30 square kilometers.
Bermuda has a long history of managing our marine resources, and regulatory measures are in place for activities in the EEZ. The next significant step forward would be to create a marine reserve, the equivalent of a national park, where harvesting and extraction would not be permitted at all. Establishing a no-take marine reserve in Bermuda's offshore waters would extend full protection to the designated area. The Sargasso Sea is a unique and important ecosystem. Floating mats of seaweed provide a home for more than 100 species of fish and 145 types of invertebrates such as crabs, shrimp, and sea slugs. Young turtles hide in the seaweed, eels and marlins come to breed, and humpback whales pass through during their yearly migrations. Abundant plant life plays an important role in regulating the global climate.
If Bermuda did create a large reserve, and if it somehow was financed so that we could actually do the appropriate management of that, then there's potential of Coast Guard activities, ocean engineering. There's quite a few, and we need to again just decide what it is that we're trying to accomplish here.
There are also opportunities in aquaculture, which culturing of marine organisms. The fishermen are moving offshore to tap into the pelagic. So there is a room for growth.
Tourism creates jobs for the island in many different sectors, from restaurants, hotels, bars, taxi drivers, water sports operators. All of those things rely on our natural beauty. Bermuda wouldn't be what it is without all of the great natural assets that we have. So there's a lot of people's livelihoods are dependent on this, and I think everyone needs to have a vested interest in what we're doing.
I think that there are opportunities from an economic perspective as well as from a cultural and heritage perspective with regard to our EEZ. One is, can we leverage the kind of heritage and the beauty and the culture that exists under the water for promoting ecotourism, for promoting visitors to come, for promoting exploration from a scientific point of view. So one, I think that there are opportunities in that. And then two, with regard to other business creation, with regard to assets or minerals or extracts, I think that even if we decided that we didn't want to actually pursue that, I think that there is value in investigating what is out there as an option, and that could be, some scientific breakthrough on its own.
In essence, the exclusive economic zone around Bermuda has the potential for earning Bermuda millions, no, I'll correct that, billions. So the economic zone for Bermudians is something that we should really know about and study.
There's an opportunity for enforcement to become a benefit, certainly when vessels are breaking the law. Some marine protected areas in the law, it's the opportunity to confiscate those vessels and sell them, or hold them for a fine, and actually drive considerable revenue into further enforcement practices.
Just think, if the Chinese came here and started nosing around with scientific equipment, and they said, we're just looking to see whether there are any precious minerals here, what would our reaction be then?
I think Bermuda is in a very unique position where we actually have an opportunity to determine our future, showing that to the rest of the world that we care about our environment, that we are proactively looking at this, and it will be a step that will help our generations and generations to come behind us.
Yet this special place is threatened by fishing activities, which impact not only the oceanic fishes they catch, but can also harm other marine life, and by risks associated with shipping, pollution, seabed cables, and other human activities. Habitats function better when their plant and animal communities are intact, and this helps them withstand other threats. It is likely that setting aside a large marine reserve where nothing would be taken from the sea will help maintain the health of this important part of the ocean.
In environmental terms, we are using resources faster than the Earth can replenish them, so we're borrowing from our children. And I don't think that's certainly not something sustainable, and I don't think it's morally the right thing to do.
You can't have an all or nothing scenario. And so I think with regard to younger people coming up behind this, I think that they're clued in, and I think that they will play a key role in helping us to manage this environment.
We need to be developing a sustainable, strategic management plan for the exclusive economic zone so that we can develop both short-term and long-term opportunities that exist within that territory. And in terms of we have to be mindful of future generations in that and manage it in such a way that for many generations to come, Bermudians will be able to benefit from developing the natural resources in the EEZ.
The fact that it's beautiful and the beaches are pristine, that brings tourists here. But I'm afraid with our 1.4 billion, now heading to $2 billion debt, no amount of tourists, no amount of international companies is ever going to allow us to pay off that money.
Bermudians have traditionally fished close to the island, and most other marine activities take place fairly close to shore. Future economic activities such as ocean energy generation or aquaculture are also likely to happen within this area. However, there is some fishing activity that occurs beyond this area. Depending on size and design, an offshore marine reserve could curtail this and limit future offshore fishing and other commercial activities, such as seabed mining. A marine reserve in our offshore waters would help protect open ocean and deep sea biodiversity, provide a useful comparison site for scientific studies and regional conservation management, boost Bermuda's image as a tourist destination that cares about the environment, demonstrate Bermuda's commitment to protecting the Sargasso Sea to the international community, paving the way for increased marine conservation globally, help leverage increased enforcement resources to counter illegal foreign fishing activity, require a management program, but this will also require funding, restrict potential commercial activities in the future.
We are all citizens on this planet. Bermuda benefits from the oceans as much as anyone else, if not more. And without this critical work to protect the Sargasso, starting at the EEZ around Bermuda, I think that we will continue to see our fisheries decline, to see our ocean health decline, and that has a terrible effect not only here on the people of Bermuda, but on the global economy and global society as well.
If we leave it unchecked and foreign bodies do, meaning foreign nations do come into our waters to fish, and we don't know, or we just don't care, the next time anyone goes out just for a leisurely fishing trip and comes back with nothing, when there's one area that they know is always plentiful and there's nothing there anymore, then what?
In this day and age, it would be not in our best interest to at least designate the area so that we at least say to the world, well, we have some regulations, this is our control, and we're going to actively be in control of waterways. I don't think that we live in a day and age where we can just say, we'll just let it be the status quo. There are just too many people out there trying to take advantage of opportunities.
Leave it alone I'm sorry, we can't count on human beings to be left alone. That's called anarchy.
If we maintain status quo, then we are still providing some protection for marine organisms. What we're not doing is differentiating ourselves and getting the economic value out of it. So there's a historic value to the EEZ because that's where the boats have to come through it, that's where settlers came from, that's where slaves came from. But culturally, in how it's embedded every day, in the lives of the island and the memories of the island, our attachment's not really to the EEZ but to the near waters.
I think anything that's tied to protecting and enhancing our ocean and our waterways is going to be seen as a huge cultural tradition in Bermuda. And you know, we have that tradition going back from when we were discovered all the way to today. So in my mind, I believe the ocean plays a very strong part in our cultural psyche and what makes a Bermudian a Bermudian. And I think that there are opportunities for us to build economic opportunities and cultural opportunities and heritage opportunities around the EEZ.
Well, personally, as a Bermudian, I've grown up on the water all my life. You know, there's some of us who take what we have for granted, and it's really, you know, you have to really stop and look and appreciate what we've got.
If we made known to the world that we protected our EEZ, again from top to bottom, with sensible laws that balance the economic earnings with the social, environmental, I think we'd be lauded for it and probably admired and talked, spoken about, written about, from the best magazines in the world.
I would not define the cultural value as it relates to the EEZ. The EEZ is simply a legislative designation of the ocean around us. So I don't think the EEZ itself has much significance to our culture. However, we are a maritime community. Our roots are in maritime affairs. I believe that our ocean is critically important to our psyche and to who we really are. I think perhaps we're a little less connected than we used to be, but I think that things such as this topic provide us with an opportunity to raise our own awareness and focus a little bit more on what the ocean around us means to us.
It's important for food, for transportation, for trade, and for recreation. So again, the health of the ocean is tied to these cultural activities. It's something that should be taken into account when we're looking at protective measures for our EEZ. How will this impact on these cultural activities?
What the EEZ really represents culturally is an opportunity to reconnect with those traditional maritime activities, and you know, in a working environment. And at the moment, generally speaking, we still connect recreationally, and obviously it's hugely important to Bermudians, you know, in how we maintain our sense of who we are. But you know, this is an amazing opportunity to actually take those activities back into the workplace, which I think is a fabulous cultural attribute that is represented by the EEZ.
The EEZ itself is a political and a geographic construct. It's not a cultural construct, except that it gives us control over it.
There are many ways a marine reserve could be designed for the EEZ. There are 3 options for consideration that differ in size and impact on offshore activities. Option 1, protect 3/4 of the EEZ. This option would have a minor impact on current offshore fishing and would limit future expansion of fishing and other commercial activities. Option 2, protect half of the EEZ. This option would not affect current offshore fishing and would allow for some future expansion. Option 3, protect 1/4 of the EEZ. This option would not affect current offshore fishing and would provide flexibility for expanding fishing and other future commercial activities offshore. Option 4. No, we should not create a marine reserve in the waters around Bermuda. Option 5. Yes, Bermuda should create a marine reserve in its EEZ, but with a different design. We ask that you provide an example of size, location, shape, and what protections you would like to see.
The only ability for us to make a change or to have active kind of stewardship over our country, our island, and our waters is if we're actively involved in that. And actively involved means just having a say, giving your opinion, talking to your colleagues, your friends, your families, your peers about what do you think about it.
It is a potential cash earner for Bermuda and Bermudians that must be carefully studied and used to the financial betterment of future generations of this island.
We need all those views. We need people who make their living on the water to come forward and give their views. How do they feel it will impact their livelihoods?
We need to make sure that we do our best to try and make sure that those assets are here for a long time, and all of those things bring people to Bermuda. It makes Bermuda different from any other place in the world.
We need to do this so that we can realize broad community benefit from the EEZ, which, as I've stated before, is just this amazing gift. We need to figure out how we're going to manage that and who's going to benefit from it. And we need to do that in a responsible way.
I think this is a matter for everyone, to be involved with, whether you see yourself as an environmentalist or nature lover or naturalist.
This is an asset we all own. This is an asset that our children own. And I think that everybody's opinion is valid and is interesting.
We have yet to commit to actually managing the zone properly.
I think we won't really know what the right answer is until we hear from everybody.
It really is incumbent upon us to learn as much as we can about what the issues are, and to try to make sure that our voices are heard, that we share what we actually believe we would like to see as Bermudians coming from this massive resource that we have.
Please take the time to go to our website for more details and consider the options. Then get in touch with the Sustainable Development Department with your views. As an island community with close ties to the sea, this is a big national decision with a potentially lasting impact. Whether or not to restrict offshore commercial activity to improve the health of the surrounding ocean and the associated economic benefits is an important decision that could affect all of us.